Why is the king crab plague so severe, yet its price remains sky high? In June 2022, the Norwegian National Tourist Board sent out a cry for help. Every extra king crab you eat is helping Norwegians save the planet. They are appealing to friends worldwide to help tackle this species invasion. Back then, the king crab population in Norway had already surpassed 50 million. That means Norway's 5.4 million people would each have to eat 10 crabs to finish the ones of edible size. The Barents Sea in northern Norway is particularly crawling with them. The seabed is so packed it looks like a giant living carpet. The density is so insane, it's a nightmare for anyone with trypophobia. They cover over 2,000 square kilometers of the ocean floor. This invasive species from the Bering Strait and Alaskan waters has completely seized Norway. The journey from Alaska to Europe dates back to the 1960s. Supposedly, scientists visiting the Kamchatka Peninsula found specimens and brought them back for study. As their ship crossed the Barents Sea, some crabs broke out and escaped. Since the Barents Sea is close to Norway, they successfully invaded Norwegian waters. At the time, Norwegians had no clue such a tough character had entered their seas. Not only did it take over their waters, but it also threatened to spread across all of Europe. Its offensive in invaded waters is like a locust plague on land, but 100 times more vicious. Observations show a single female king crab can produce nearly 10,000 surviving larvae every year. With such powerful breeding, they quickly settled into these perfectly tempered waters. They rapidly branched out and built their own empire across the Nordic Sea region. Their numbers soon topped 50 million, while Norway's total population is just over 5 million. To say they are overrunning the place is an understatement. Underwater robots from the Norwegian Institute of Marine Research sent back footage from 450 meters deep. The scene is bone-chilling. Legions of king crabs cover the seabed like a moving rug. Wherever they go, nothing is left but crushed shell debris. This is why the mussel biomass in northern Norwegian fjords plummeted by 87% in a decade. King crabs have devoured almost all shellfish and starfish in their path. Even Norway's cod larvae couldn't escape their clutches. Initially, Norwegians didn't eat king crab, leading to a sharp decline in fishery resources. Actually, Norway isn't the only one suffering. Antarctica is too. In 2011, a research team surveyed the Antarctic continental shelf using underwater cameras. What they saw was a total shock. They spotted the king crab 850 meters down. The researchers were stunned. How on earth did king crabs get to Antarctica? Expanding their search, they found king crabs had already occupied many areas of Antarctica. In December 2023, a German submersible captured incredible footage on the west of the Antarctic Peninsula. King crab colonies had established breeding grounds in hydrothermal vent zones 1,500 meters deep. Their sharp legs are piercing through Antarctica's fragile ecological defenses. Once they break through the shelf, Antarctica's glass sponge communities could go extinct within 20 years. Beyond that, king crabs have become a mechanical legion, altering the seabed's ecology. By churning up sediment and through extreme predation, they've nearly wiped out sea lilies and sea urchins. As the Antarctic shelf continues to warm up, king crabs are likely to settle widely in the short term. It's massive. With a hard shell covered in sharp spines, it looks like it means business. Next to other crabs, it looks like the emperor of them all, ferociously majestic. It walks on long, spider-like legs with sharp claws for hunting and handling food. The large claw can easily crush the shells of creatures like shellfish and sea urchins. Its digestive system is also impressive, capable of rapidly breaking down proteins. An adult king crab can eat 2 kilograms of benthic organisms a day, a deep-sea scavenger. They aren't picky eaters. Shellfish, shrimp, and even organic debris are all on the menu. So here's the question. If researchers brought them to Norway, how did they show up in Antarctica? Scientists speculate that juveniles might have hitched a ride on research vessels. Many countries use the same research ships for both the North and South Poles. After finishing a mission in the Arctic, they crossed to Antarctica, taking the crabs along. Since the climates are similar and cold water is everywhere, these crabs made Antarctica their home. King crab larvae can drift thousands of kilometers with ocean currents. If the water temperature rises even slightly, they could destroy a million-year-old isolated ecosystem. Local penguins, seals, and other creatures would all suffer the consequences. Since king crabs are such a plague, why is the price so high in supermarkets? It remains a luxury on the dining table, out of reach for average families. Let me break down the price structure so you'll understand why it's so pricey. First, let's talk about farming costs, which are actually zero because they cannot be farmed yet. They thrive in low-temperature waters, originally from the cold North Pacific. This includes the Sea of Japan, the Sea of Okhotsk, the Bering Sea, and the coasts of Alaska and Russia. In their native habitat, they have almost no rivals due to their size, spines, and reproduction. Larvae need water temperatures of at least 1 to 3 degrees Celsius to develop. As climate change warms some regions by 0.52 degrees Celsius, it boosts their numbers and expands their reach. Unlike the crabs we usually eat, their ancestors likely came from deeper, colder seas. They have built-in antifreeze proteins that keep their body fluids from freezing even near 0 degrees Celsius. That thick, hard shell adds an extra insulation buff to their survival. But everything comes with a price. King crabs cannot stand the heat at all. If the water exceeds 5 degrees Celsius, 41 degrees Fahrenheit, they face the risk of death. Commercial farming would require simulating the pristine deep sea, which is just too expensive. Plus, they have a long growth cycle. It takes 8 to 12 years to reach a 2.5 kilograms market size. In cold environments, their metabolism slows down, making the cost of artificial farming astronomical. In the 1960s, the Soviet Union discovered these things were delicious and meaty. During the Cold War, it was a way to enrich the diet of the fighting nation. The only downside was the distance. They were 6,500 kilometers away from Moscow. So, they moved 3,000 king crabs from the Bering Strait to the Arctic's Barents Sea. As it turned out, they had no natural predators there and hit a reproductive gold mine. Laying up to 500,000 eggs during breeding season, their multiplication was a miracle. They invaded North Norway, devouring the cod fry and eggs that were the backbone of Norway's industry. They wrecked the seabed ecology, and Norwegian fishermen absolutely loathed these invaders. But as the market price soared in North America and Asia, the fishermen had an epiphany. Since their main industry was being eaten, why not make the crabs the new industry? From then on, king crab became a massive export business for Norwegian fishermen. With such high profits, there was massive overfishing at first. Later, experts suggested seasonal fishing bans and no dive zones to protect breeding. This ensures the long-term survival of this pillar of Norway's fishing industry. However, this is only one factor behind the high price. The labor costs for deep-sea king crab fishing are a massive expense that can't be ignored. Looking at the income for Alaskan crabbers, every crew member is expensive. Even if you're a greenhorn, you can still pull in a handsome salary. But you might not realize how dangerous this job actually is. All king crab fishing happens in freezing waters with 10-meter waves and sub-zero temperatures. Fishermen often face extreme colds, which can lead to death from hypothermia. Compared to other fishing, this is literally betting your life on every catch. Since most king crabs live 850 meters deep, heavy-duty gear and tedious operations are required. And king crabs are fierce once hauled up. Sorting is done by hand, and injuries are common. The crew is on call 24/7. When the fishing is good, working for 3 days straight is normal. You could say, every cent is earned with blood and sweat. That's why king crab fishing is called the most dangerous job in the world. The danger level is up there with volcano mining, cliff honey hunting, or deep-sea welding. Statistically, the mortality rate for this profession is 50 times higher than average. Every crab season, one crabber dies every 7 days on average. The peak season for the meatiest king crab is from October to January. This is also the legal fishing season, which coincides with the most violent Arctic weather. We're talking negative 20 degrees Celsius, 128 kilometers per hour winds, and 12-meter waves. A crab boat is like a tiny leaf on the ocean, liable to be capsized at any moment. If a wave hits a crew member, the force and freezing temperature can cause instant shock. Muscle stiffness and loss of consciousness can lead to being swept overboard and facing certain deaths. In those frigid waters, rescue is almost impossible. It's a battle between man and sea. Statistically, over 80% of fatalities are caused by being swept overboard by rogue waves. They also face the constant danger of being crushed by swinging 318 kilogram steel pots. Even with a lucky haul, you can't just keep everything you catch. First, you're limited to crabs with a shell size over 17.8 centimeters. Adult females and juveniles must be returned to the sea to maintain the population. These conservation and quota policies indirectly drive up scarcity and price. After the catch, the immense workload of sorting and grading begins. Unless someone is very experienced or in desperate need, few people want this job. Without a high salary, you simply can't find anyone to do it. By the time the plague of king crabs hits the shore, the price is already sky high. On another note, China is currently researching artificial breeding technology for king crab. If this succeeds, perhaps one day king crab will become an affordable delicacy for everyone.